My name is Vanyanbah, and I am a junior at Ithaca College.
My name is Percival Koontz, and I am a sophomore at Ithaca College.
And we are happy to present to you today a new perspective, Student Voices Define DEI in First-Year Writing Curriculum. This study evolves from discourse about inequalities that still remain within first-year writing programs, although we take a different approach, as student voices are often not represented within this discourse.
Within our study, we explore how students reflect upon the presence and execution of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility within their first-year writing courses.
Our introduction to this IRB-approved study began in summer of 2024, where we interviewed faculty for the first part of this, although we will be focusing on the second phase of the study as student researchers. Now let's dive into our methodology.
Data was gathered through the use of an 8-question survey sent out to a total of 1,200 students.
The survey yielded 189 student responses.
6 of the survey questions used a Likert scale response system, represented later in our analysis as 1 being the lowest rank and 5 being the highest. Responses to these questions could be analyzed as quantitative data using tests run by the statistical software R. There are a few limitations of note within our study that may have affected our data and analysis. To start, the results from the statistical analyses show only the presence of a statistically significant correlation. They do not show any causation for this correlation, meaning we cannot say, based on these tests, that responses for one question led to certain responses for another question.
Students were also asked open-ended questions, one of them being, what advice or suggestions would you give your writing professors to make the course or curriculum more diverse, inclusive, and equitable? 71 students replied to this written response, and through this response, we were able to code and come up with central themes. The 3 main themes we include in this presentation are student agency, diversity in curriculum, and belonging and inclusion. Student agency being defined as students taking an active role in shaping curriculum, diversity in curriculum defined as flexibility in curriculum to represent various identities, perspectives, genres, and structure, and belonging and inclusion defined as a class environment that provides community and supports the values of the students' experience, identity, and provide accommodations. We provide several student quotes in this presentation to provide more context for these codes. I will include one response, which will be, I feel like my professor made all the difference in my learning experience. They were very inclusive and made it their #1 priority to make sure students felt comfortable, seen, and heard.
The figures shown are heat maps of the data and test results. The first figure was made using a summary of the total 189 responses for questions 1 through 6. The scale levels are marked along the x-axis, while the questions are indicated on the y-axis. The shade of the color shows the number of responses for each level, with a lighter shade indicating a lower count and a darker shade indicating a higher count. The test done for figures 1 through 3 was the Spearman's Rank Correlation Coefficient test, meant to find any correlation, whether positive or negative, between 2 variables. Figure 1 shows results done on questions 1 and 2. The color pattern indicates a positive correlation between the questions, meaning that students who responded that it was important to them to feel like they belonged also said their instructor was effective in creating an inclusive classroom environment. Similarly to Figure 1, Figure 2, which compared questions 1 and 3, showed that students who valued a feeling of belonging also reported that the course they took often included diverse materials. Figure 3 shows another positive correlation, this time between questions 4 and 5, meaning that students who said they were able to express themselves in the classroom also said the course encouraged engagement with diverse perspectives. Generally, for all 6 of the questions, the majority of responses fell on the higher end of the scale, meaning that most students answered the questions more positively rather than negatively.
Generally, all the findings from the qualitative data imply students want professors to amplify student voices, representation in terms of perspective and identity, and engagement and diversity in terms of structure and content of the curriculum.
As we move forward with the study, more such tests will be conducted to determine other such patterns within the data.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.